Hi, Tom Norton here. Welcome again to English Trainer for Pros, a conference interpreter's approach to advanced English training. In this video and in a few subsequent videos, I'm going to share with you a habit that I use to develop a rich professional vocabulary. It's stating the obvious, but when we walk into a conference, we must really know what we're talking about, and we must use the right words in a professional way. Because we have panels of speakers who are experts on a topic, or sometimes it's an individual speaker who's the expert, and we have an audience who is listening to our interpretation. Everyone in the room is an expert on the topic, except the interpreters. So we have some tricks, what I call a habit that I apply to prepare myself for meetings. And I want to share with you this habit. It takes about 3 to 5 minutes a day to do. It's a little bit complex, has some complexities to it. So it'll take me 2 or 3 videos to share with you what I do in those 3 to 5 minutes. But if you will do the same thing, what I guarantee you is that every day you will add somewhere between 3 and 10 very useful words to your professional working vocabulary. Now, to begin with, there's a concept I like to share called orbit words. Instead of going to buy a book that has 1,000 words you should learn in English, instead of going buying a TOEFL prep list of words, why don't we do this? Why don't we pay attention to the words that are orbiting around us every day? Every single day, you read several English words that you never use. Why? Every day you hear several English words that you know we native English speakers use them all the time, but for some reason you don't use them. Usually there are 3 reasons. Number 1, if I see a word that I don't use, sometimes it's because I don't understand for certain what it means. Number 2, I may not know how to pronounce the word correctly. And number 3, I may not be certain exactly how and when to use the word in a sentence. That's how I define orbit words. And the first part of the habit that I want you to accustom yourself to using is to set aside 3 to 5 minutes per day in which you're going to focus on noticing words that you see but don't use. For example, here I took 2 short paragraphs from an article out of the McKinsey report. And just very quickly, let's run through these 100 words and see how many words we notice that we may even partially understand. We may understand them in context, but these are words we do not use, okay? Innovation is a team sport. For projects to succeed, they must be staffed with the right combination of talent. To staff as a verb, do you ever use that? Of course, I know you probably know what a staff is, and you know when you're talking to somebody who's a member of your boss's staff, right? Or you have your own staff that works for you. But to staff is actually a verb that's a very powerful verb, very useful verb to use. We need to staff that team with 7 quality people. We need to staff that unit with 15 professionals. We need to staff that company with a good administrative team. To staff as a verb, that may be an orbit word. How about talent? We want to staff these units with the right combination of talent. Well, talent means skill, right? But in this context, in the way this word is used here, the author is actually talking about individuals, about people. Talent as people. So I have a lot of talent on my team. It does not mean I have a lot of different skills. It means I've got a lot of different people, each of whom is highly skilled. A lot of talent. Here's how to ensure your initiatives have the players they need to win. Ensure. It's a complicated word. I think it's possibly an orbit word for many of you because There are three words that sound very similar and even mean something somewhat similar. To ensure with an E, to insure with an I, or to assure with an A. And because I have some confusion about the meaning of ensure, I'm not going to use it. I understand it in context, but it's not a word in my vocabulary. It's going to remain an orbit word. What I want you to do is notice the words that are out there, like ensure, that might be circling around your planet, but you haven't brought them down yet and made them part of your working vocabulary. Let's go on. The CEO of a globally recognized bank is frustrated with the lack of innovation performance delivered by her company. The lack. What is the lack? Well, lack is the absence. It's the shortage. It's a scarcity. It means there's not enough. There is not enough innovation performance being delivered by her company. An important, very useful, very rich word that you should be using as part of your regular vocabulary. She sets up an incubator charged with developing a portfolio of new high-growth businesses. Well, to charge, usually when we talk about charging, we talk about charging a battery. But we also talk about charging a price, right? We're going to charge you a price for this service or for this product. Or we talk about charging somebody with a crime. So the word charge, the verb to charge, can become quickly an orbit word because we're not sure what it means. But in this context, it means to assign a task. So I'm going to make you the team leader, and you are charged with staffing that team with great talent. That is your task. I'm assigning you that task. Inside this incubator, she places teams of high performers from the core businesses of the bank in part-time roles. Core business. The word core, you hear it all the time. Do you use it, or is it just an orbit word? The word core, it's the middle part of the apple core. Before we eat an apple, we cut the apple away from the core. The core is the heart. It's the center. Everything grows out from the core. The core is what sustains the business. So a core business unit would be one of those business units around which the rest of the bank has built its larger business. Those are just some examples of orbit words that are orbit words because I'm not sure what the word means. But how about pronunciation? Did we see some words in this article that might cause us some questions about pronunciation? For example, projects. Is it projects or projects? Or how about some of our Latin American friends who say proyects? They have a hard time pronouncing the J sound. So that could be an orbit word because I'm not going to use that word because I'm just not sure. Is it project? Is it project? Is it project? How about players? Even players. Is it players? Players? Pliers? Recognized. The CEO of a globally recognized bank is frustrated. So you have these ed endings when verbs are used in the past tense, right? Sometimes we pronounce the ed ending. Sometimes we do not. Recognized, frustrated. And because we are uncertain of how to pronounce that verb in the past tense, we may sometimes just not use the verb at all. It's an orbit word, and it floats around, and we understand it in context, but it's not a part of my working vocabulary. So I'm going to show you the tricks that we use to make sure that we understand how to pronounce a word. Incubator. Is it incubator or incubator or incubator or incubator? How do we pronounce that? High growth. High growth. We understand what high growth businesses are, but are you confident in your ability to say high growth? Growth is a tricky word, has several sounds in there that are very American and can be a challenge to non-native speakers. and recipe. So those are some examples of potential orbit words we might see in this short 100-word article that you can identify as orbit words. And then there are questions of use. For example, the word must. When do I use must? When do I use should? When do I use have to or shall? I want you to fully understand that. I'm going to show you how to develop a fuller understanding of the word must. She sets up an incubator charged with developing a portfolio, blah, blah, blah. Okay, she sets up, to set up. To set up that's what we call a phrasal verb, and it's something we use all the time in English. To set up, to pick up, to drop off, to get out, to jump in, to hook up, to on and on and on. We have hundreds of them. To set up is one that you hear every day, but do you know how to use it? And do you use it effectively? Once you learn how to use to set up effectively, your English is going to sound even richer and more professional. And how about to place? She places teams of high performers from the core businesses of the bank in part-time roles. To place means to put, right? To put, but it's a little bit higher register. It's a little more professional sounding. I'm going to place you on that team. I'm going to place this book on your desk. I'm going to place you on the other side of the room to generate more conversation among the group, etc. Okay? So this little article serves as just to highlight what I'm talking about when I talk about orbit words. Okay? And your assignment from this video is simply to set aside 3 to 5 minutes a day and notice how many words are floating around your world already. Words that you recognize, you hear them often, you maybe even understand them in context, but you don't use them. Notice them and write them down. In the next video, I'll begin to show you what to do with this fast-growing list of words. If you follow the habit that I'm teaching, in no time at all, you'll be accumulating 3 to 10 words a day, and you will learn quickly how to use them with confidence. And that's important because I want to help your English sound as professional as you are. I'll see you soon.